I want you to think of the last 10 purchases that you have made. Did you order some household items online? Did you go to a store and buy some clothes? How about stopping by a gas station to fill up your car? Did you stop to get some fast food along the way? Whether you know it or not, nearly every single purchase you've ever made in your life is influenced by psychological and other environmental factors that you may not be aware of. And in this video, we will uncover a lot of the tricks that businesses use in order to get you to buy anything. Ever since the dawn of commerce 150,000 years ago, humans have been making exchanges for goods and services. Initially, transactions were based on a barter system, where individuals would trade goods and services for other goods and services. But as civilization grew, so did the evolution of commerce and trading. In 2700 BCE, ancient Egyptians were trading livestock on levels that were unparalleled to the rest of the world. And as the trading of livestock in ancient Egypt grew, so did the frequency of stolen livestock. That's when the Egyptians came up with a way to differentiate one person's livestock from another, and therefore identify if someone stole their goods. The Egyptians began branding their livestock with unique symbols in order for their goods to stand out amongst all other similar goods. And this was the birth of branding, the first psychological trick that businesses still use today in order to get you to buy their product. I have a question for you. Why is Nike worth $124 billion today? Is it because they make the highest quality shoes in the world? Probably not. I mean, Zion Williamson might agree with that. Is it because they are cheaper or more comfortable than all other shoes on the market? That's probably not the case either. What makes Nike worth $124 billion is its branding. And this could be applied to most other clothing and shoe brands in the world too. See, when you buy a pair of Nikes, you're actually mainly buying it for the design of the shoe, the swoosh on the side, and the meaning behind the swoosh. These are truly the only unique identifiers of the shoe, and these are also known as the Nike brand. You see, when people think of Nike, they think of Michael Jordan in basketball, Tiger Woods in golf, Roger Federer in tennis, Ronaldo in soccer, or pretty much any NFL athlete. That's because ever since their customers were kids, the customers have seen tons of Nike advertisements with these athletes on them and seen those athletes on TV wearing the Nike brand. This makes the Nike brand linked hand in hand with well-known world-class athletes in the minds of the public. So when a young adult goes to buy a pair of new athletic shoes, they will want to try on the ones with the world-class athlete that they know and admire first, because they want to be like them. They want to feel a deeper connection with their shoes. They want to feel a part of something that is bigger than themselves. They want to be a part of the Nike brand. And that is why branding is so important. Branding is a unique psychological trick that creates a long-lasting impression in the minds of all of its customers, but not all purchases rely solely on branding. And there is actually a larger psychological factor in determining whether a person will be a lifelong customer from a business or not. I mean, think about this. When you go to buy some groceries, do you really care about the branding of 90% of what you buy? Yet you probably buy the same brands over and over again. So why do customers stick to some brands forever, even if they don't know any message behind the brand? Let's take an example of 3 different unknown chocolate brands. You decide to purchase one box of chocolates from one of these brands at random for $20. You go home and you decide to share some of these chocolates with your new girlfriend or boyfriend. Then you both enjoy the chocolates and have a great night together. This simple act will likely make you a customer for life with this one chocolate brand. That is because your brain will now associate these chocolates with a positive experience you had with your partner. So your brain kind of says to itself, why mess around with the successful experience you had with this product? So now when you go and have to make a choice between these same 3 brands of chocolate, you are significantly more likely to buy the one that you have already had a good associative experience with. And the reverse is true too. If you were to have shared your chocolates with your partner and they were to break up with you that night, night, your brain will make a negative association with that brand of chocolate bar. And that will make you less likely to buy the chocolates the next time around. And this is the power of association. I mean, have you ever wondered why so many chocolate commercials are geared towards gifting it to your partner on a romantic night? Because you are then much more likely to associate that chocolate with an overall good night. Even if the chocolate doesn't taste that different from other brands, you are significantly more likely to purchase a product if you have had a previous positive experience with it. Now let's change things up a bit, shall we? Let's say you live in a small house somewhere. You have a front yard with some grass on it, and one day your neighbor offers to mow your lawn for free. And in fact, they mow your lawn and most of the entire block's lawns every Saturday for free, and they do this regularly for about 1 to 2 years. Then one day the neighbor goes around asking everyone if he could be their real estate agent if they're looking to buy or sell a house in the near future. Normally, most people would say no to this request from a somewhat unknown neighbor who hasn't provided any value to them. But because this neighbor provided so much value to everyone and saved the neighborhood tons of time and money over the past couple of years, some of the people on the block may be swayed to use this neighbor as their agent in a way to somewhat pay them back for all of the free work that they have done over the years. And this is called the give, and ask principle, popularized by Gary Vaynerchuk. And in a sense, what this is when a business gives the customer so much value for free that some of the customers feel psychologically obligated to make a purchase in order to help out the business that has helped them so much over the past few years for free. And one of the biggest places you see this is actually on a platform like YouTube or Instagram. I mean, there are tons of creators like myself that have uploaded hundreds of free videos that millions of people have watched around the world. And sometimes we do ask our viewership base to check out something that is off platform that would help us out a ton. So the give, and ask principle is a psychological trick that is commonly used by smaller businesses and solo entrepreneurs. Now, the next trick is a little bit different. Have you ever wondered why some high-end cars cost $100,000 while cars with very similar specs might cost $10 million? Well, here's one reason. If you have been on the internet at all over the past decade, then you have seen at least one limited time offer or limited quantity offer. This is a trick called the power of scarcity, but is somewhat similar to something called FOMO, or the fear of missing out. What businesses do in this scenario is create a circumstance where you have a limited time to make a decision about a purchase. And if you do not make a purchase, then you may miss out on this deal entirely, therefore resulting in your brain creating a what-if negative scenario that may be filled with regret. Essentially, the business creates artificial urgency in the customer's brain, which the business hopes will result in more sales or revenue. You see, this is done a ton in nearly every industry around the world, but you see this especially in luxury industries. The luxury car market is known on running on the rule of scarcity. So some models of cars like the 1957 Ferrari 250 Testarossa have only 34 of them in circulation. This extreme undersupply of this car creates a mindset of scarcity for prospective buyers, meaning that someone who wants to buy this model of car might be willing to pay a lot more for it because they know there are only 34 of them in the world. This mindset of scarcity around the Testarossa has inflated the price of this one car to $40 million each. And this is a perfect example of how some businesses create artificial scarcity in order to create higher prices or sales of their product. But here's another psychological factor. You see, in 2007, cell phones had been around for several decades, and smartphones had been around for about 10 years. But then Steve Jobs revealed a completely new and innovative phone that would take the world by storm. Apple had created a product that was an iPod, a phone, and a web browser all in one, while simultaneously creating a new operating system, the first two-touch touchscreen, while having twice the resolution of every other phone on the market. This was the announcement of the iPhone. This was the iPhone. And when it was released, customers flocked to it because it was a device that was new, novel, innovative, and filled a big need in the marketplace. All of a sudden, consumers could buy one product that had a wide variety of capabilities. The meaning of this psychological factor is that sometimes the consumer perceives that there is one product on the market that is so much better than every other option that the consumer knows there's only one obvious choice for their purchase. And well, here is some proof. What you may not know is that LG released a phone called the LG Prada. It was very similar to the iPhone in a lot of ways, and was actually released before the iPhone. But the public perception of these two phones were very different. The LG Prada was viewed as a next generation phone from LG, while the iPhone was viewed as a one-of-a-kind product. And that is the power of perceptive innovation. But innovation is left in the dust by the next psychological trick: perceived value and pricing. Let's say you are a lifelong iPhone user. You love your iPhone 6 and the brand, but decide it is time to shop for a newer phone. You look at the price and see the iPhone 11 will run you about $1,100. But right next to the iPhone, you see a similar phone, a Google Pixel 4, and you see that it costs $200. Now, all of a sudden, you have to weigh your options. These two phones are very similar. On one side, you have the iPhone, which you have been a loyal customer for, which you have been a loyal customer to for a few years. And on the other side, you have a Google Pixel 4, which is a similar phone, but with a much lower price point. Now, the average person out there would likely go with the Google Pixel in this case, because the perceived value they are getting with the extremely lower price point gives the customer much more value than if they were to purchase the iPhone, despite them having an attachment to the iPhone for the last few years. So, if two products are somewhat equal, but one costs much less, then the customer is more likely to choose the cheaper product because they think they are getting more bang for their buck. Now, a lot of you watching this might be solo entrepreneurs or people starting side businesses or freelancers that are trying to figure out ways to get more sales or clients. And if you've Googled this topic, what most likely would have come up is something called the power of persuasion. You see, this is one of the oldest sales tricks in the book. It's a way for trying to convince someone that they want or need your product. So let's say a salesperson comes to your house and wants to sell you a vacuum cleaner. Now, you already have a vacuum cleaner, and it works fine, so you're not looking to buy a new one. Now, what the salesperson might try to do is convince you that their vacuum cleaner is more suitable for you because it will save you time, it's easier to clean, a lot of your neighbors bought the same vacuum, they might show you how it works. Then after all of that, they might say something like, "How would you like to pay?" which limits your response choice. That's a whole psychological trick in itself. And this is the power of persuasion. Even though you had no interest in a new vacuum cleaner, the salesperson persuaded you that you might actually want or need a new one. Another way that businesses sell you a product is actually not a trick at all. It is actually using a need and convenience. And this example may or may not be an exact story from my life. Let's say you have a 10-page essay due in 2 hours, but you go to check your printer and you only have 3 pieces of paper left. In this circumstance, you need 7 pieces of paper. So you look around for the quickest way to get that paper, and you see that the only option is the convenience store across the street that sells some office supplies. Now, normally for you, printer paper costs about $8 a pack, but the convenience store only sells it for $15 a pack. Now, because you have a need and the store is your only option to get paper quickly, you are willing to pay the extra $7 so that you can purchase it right now. And that is the power of convenience. And this is arguably the biggest transformation that we have seen in the tech world from the past decade. Because all of a sudden there are so many apps where you pay a monthly or annual fee in order to get products delivered directly to your door in a reasonable amount of time. Another trick that businesses use to make people purchase their product is one regarding morality. You see, when we do something that is good and helps other people, it makes us feel kind of good about ourselves. So some businesses decide to tie into their business model something that makes the consumer feel like if they buy their product, then they are doing something good for the world. This is done in the modern world in 2 ways. One of which is businesses telling their customers that they will make a donation to a charity or something along those lines if they buy their product. The second is telling the consumer that their product is better for the world than other alternatives. These are products like more efficient light bulbs or biodegradable plastic. However, some companies take advantage of this by providing the customer with a false sense of morality or proper information. For example, do you know what the difference is between organic food and non-organic food? It's actually nothing. The only difference between organic and non-organic food is a slight change in the fertilizer that is used to grow that food. Yet organic food is marketed as a healthier and greener alternative to, well, normal food. So misinforming the consumer and using buzzwords that make the consumer think they are making a better choice is commonplace in modern society. I mean, most people don't even realize that frozen vegetables are way healthier for you than fresh vegetables. But I'm getting off track here. What I'm trying to say is that companies have a whole bag of tricks that they use to try and trick consumers into buying their products. And this video hasn't even scratched the surface of all of the other things I wanted to mention in this video. So if you want to see a part 2 of this video, please leave a like and comment, and please subscribe to this channel. And if you did like this video, I have a ton of other videos in my documentaries playlist that you might like. So go check out my documentaries playlist on my channel. And I guess I'll see you there, so make sure to click on that. I'll see you, I guess, in a few seconds.